Welcome back, everyone. Marty here with Warehouse and Operations as a Career, and I'm back in Dallas, Texas this week. It's nice getting caught up with the regular business and visiting with some local accounts. I was up north, well, I guess I need to call it northwestern area last week, and found it quite cold for my taste. Yes, I'm a warm weather soul without a doubt. I had a question presented a few weeks ago about cherry pickers. What is a cherry picker, and is it the same thing as a high-low machine? I'm most familiar with using the cherry picker or high-rise machine in the food service distribution side of things, so let's talk about that for a bit. If you're purchasing such a piece of equipment, it may be called an order picker, stock picker, or stock picker truck these days. When checking them out on YouTube, you can search with order picker and find some really great videos on them. I've heard them referred to as high-rise machines, high-rise pickers, and cherry pickers, and even high-lows before. Check out YouTube. There's some great tutorials and videos of them in use on there. These order picker trucks are used quite a bit in the furniture industry. There's a pretty slick square platform made for them where you can slide an item from the slot right onto the platform and bring it down with the cherry picker. In larger distribution centers, they can be used in narrow aisle environments for the smaller wares, or those real small cases. As we know, a typical pallet bay, or the area or slots between two uprights, we'll find two slots for two pallets to be placed side by side, either straight in, the 40-inch front, or sideways on the 48-inch side, or I guess you'd call them the four-way side facing out, with a bay or beam of either 96 inches or 102 inches usually, at least around here. Anyway, with a cherry picker area or department, you can have several pick facings, like 9 per bay, and the slot may be only like 2 feet high or something like that, meaning you can have many slots in the aisle. I've seen these areas being, upwards of 28 feet high. As you can see, in one aisle, you could have many hundreds or even 1,000 items in them, depending on how long your aisles are. These areas are built for just such a machine. Operating an order picker or cherry picker isn't too difficult, and the learning curve is really pretty short. Controls-wise, there's only, just really a handful. Usually a vertical steering wheel, flat-mounted on the wall of the driving compartment, typically operated with the left hand, and then a forward and reverse lever or roll throttle with up and down buttons within reach of the right hand. The only other necessary button needed is the horn, of course. Back in 1988, my order picker was rail-driven, meaning I steered it, manually out on the docks and turning from aisle to aisle or coming out of one aisle and into another. But as I would enter an aisle, I threaded my right outrigger onto a rail which kept my truck straight as I would drive forward and up or down to the next pick slot. Many of today's equipment are wire-guided or follow a wire in the floor, and some are computer-guided to the individual slots even. Technology's really come a long way in the last several years. And I think here's a great place for me to slide in one of my favorite points, which, as you know, is never get on or even touch any piece of powered industrial equipment that you have not been trained and certified to do so. Remember, any piece of equipment can be dangerous. We must know how to properly operate it before we can use it. Some of today's models have light kits and automatic pallet locks. Oh, and I've seen a few with fan kits on the driver's platform to cool us off during those warmer months. I went online, again some of that self-education stuff, and found several pictures of the machines. I'll add a couple of the links in the show notes at Warehouse and OperationsAsACareer.com if you'd like to see one. Check it out. While I was looking around on the World Wide Web, do people really even say that anymore? Anyway, I found a really good video titled Unofficial Forklift Training Video, Order Picker. And that was by Raymond, Harlall. I'll add its link to the show notes. If you're in operations, warehousing, or transportation and have not ran across his channel yet, I really urge you to check it out. Raymond does some great videos on different types of equipment. I think that you'll really like his work. There's no affiliation of any kind with WAOC. We just found his channel and we're just passing it along. I find them really interesting. Oh, and while I was looking for some pictures of the order picker, I found 2 links. One that shows a lot of the different Raymond equipment types and one for crowned equipment as well. Reference guides, I guess you could say. I found them really interesting, and if nothing else, they gave me more ideas to find videos with. I'll add these links to the show notes also. It's easy to get excited after looking at all the different kinds of warehouse equipment, isn't it? I know when we accept a position as an unloader or loader, maybe a packer or sorter, and have had the opportunity to be trained on our first piece of powered industrial equipment, it's easy to want a little more. It's difficult sometimes to resist the urge to push our experience to the limits, but please remember there are no shortcuts to our training. I'm always speaking about not operating any kind of equipment or machine that we haven't been trained on and certified with, but it's usually the law, and it only really makes sense. Let's not ever even touch anything powered until we've successfully completed that training. Another question we received, and it kind of goes along with today's topic, is about the word rider jack and what is it? As we've learned and speak of the many different types of warehouse powered equipment in the different industries, the different regions, and even managers and supervisors may use a term that they're familiar with or warehouse slang when calling a piece of equipment something. A walkie electric pallet jack is usually one that does not have a platform for the operator to stand on, while the machine's moving. Whereas a rider jack or rider electric pallet jack has a platform on both sides for the operator to stand on while operating it. Usually they're used in the larger facilities and productivity-driven environments. I've heard both types called just in-control electric jacks before. In this particular instance, or to answer the question, I'd suggest that you just ask this gentleman to describe the jack to you and explain its operation. We've spoken before how this type of equipment very well may be our first experience with powered equipment. It's fairly easy to operate. Roll the throttle forward to go forward, and roll it backwards to go in reverse, turning the handle or the in control in the direction that we want to travel. The key is to go slow, very slow, until you're comfortable with its operation, and watch everything around you. Be comfortable with your surroundings. During your training and certification, you'll learn a bit more about weight capacities, center of gravity with loads, and other things like going up or down inclines with your loads. The key to operating any powered industrial equipment is to be safe and know what you're doing and following the procedures as you've been instructed to do so. I hope we've helped and brought some value to you today, and I thank you for listening in with us. If you have a moment, maybe you could like and share our Facebook page with your friends and check out our Twitter feed. Maybe follow us on there. We try and retweet as many job postings as we can each week and share any interesting articles we might find. You can find us on both using the little @ WHSEANDOPS. We look forward to you visiting again next week, and let's all be safe on the equipment out there.